Well, you may have seen me out, but I would never put myself in a position to get hurt or be caught. I would never hold hands or do anything improper in public. So everything I did personally was private. I made sure of that. I won't send a naked picture, a naked video, anything because it may possibly get out, and I didn't want to take that chance back then. Now, who cares? But back
DA Brat sat before the camera, her hands trembling as she prepared herself to share the deepest, most painful chapter of her life. I never imagined I'd be sitting here today, telling you all about the moment I realized I had to let go, she began, her voice thick with emotion. I never wanted this to happen, but sometimes you have to face the truth, no matter how much it hurts. Her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and strength as she continued. Today, I'm going to reveal the devastating moment I realized that I had no choice but to file for divorce from Judy. DA Brat paused, looking away for a brief moment, then back at the camera. This isn't just a story about our love, it's about the heartbreak that comes when you realize you've given everything, and yet, things still fall apart. This is the truth I couldn't hold inside any longer. It's time. DA Brat's voice softened as she began to reflect on the signs that the relationship was beginning to crack. When we first got together, it felt like we were unstoppable. I thought everything was perfect. But as time went on, there were small things that started to eat away at us, she explained, her eyes distant as she traced the memories. It wasn't anything huge at first, just little moments where I felt disconnected, like we weren't really talking to each other. And then there were the arguments. Little things would set us off, and I couldn't understand why. We used to talk through everything, but now, every conversation felt like we were just talking past each other. DA Brat's expression darkened as she continued. The silence between us started to feel heavier, and it was like I was living with a stranger. And the worst part was, when I tried to talk to Judy about it, she just pulled further away. She would tell me everything was fine, but I knew it wasn't. Deep down, I felt like something was off, but I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to believe that we were falling apart. DA Brat's voice trembled slightly as she described the moment she knew for sure that the relationship was beyond repair. I'll never forget the exact moment I realized it was over, she recalled, her gaze focused and intense. It wasn't just one thing, it was a series of things. But the breaking point came when I realized that no matter how much I loved Judy, I couldn't keep pretending anymore. DA Brat's hands clenched together as she continued. It hit me all at once, like a slap in the face. I had been holding on, trying to make things work, trying to believe that we could get back to where we were. But when I saw the distance between us, the emotional walls Judy had built, I knew. I had to face the fact that this wasn't a relationship that could be salvaged. And that was the hardest pill to swallow. She took a deep breath, her eyes reflecting the pain she felt. It wasn't easy to admit, but I knew then that we were over. And once I accepted that, everything changed. It was like a switch flipped inside me, and I knew that I had to walk away for my own peace of mind. DA Brat's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she spoke about the realization that divorce was her only option. That moment of realization was gut-wrenching, DA Brat admitted, her voice full of sorrow. I kept asking myself if there was anything left to fight for, but I couldn't answer it anymore. It wasn't just about Judy's actions, it was about the emotional toll this relationship was taking on me. DA Brat paused, her breath catching. It was like I was drowning in my own heartbreak. I loved her with everything I had, but I was losing myself in the process. I couldn't keep going like this. The pain of staying, of pretending that everything was fine, was worse than facing the truth that we had grown apart. She wiped away a tear and continued. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to fight for our love. But somewhere along the way, we lost each other. And in that moment, I realized I had no choice but to let go. Divorce was the only way forward for me to heal. DA Brat described how the realization of the end of her relationship with Judy hit her like a wave crashing over her. The emotional weight of that moment was overwhelming. When I finally came to terms with it, it was like a weight had been lifted, but it was also the hardest thing I've ever had to do, she said, her voice breaking slightly as she spoke. There was a deep, profound sadness in her tone, as she reflected on the emotional toll the breakup had taken on her. The decision to face the truth about her relationship with Judy was not one DA Brat had made lightly. It was a realization that had been years in the making, a slow accumulation of small heartbreaks and betrayals that had finally reached their breaking point. I felt like a part of me had died in that moment, DA Brat shared, her eyes filled with the sadness of loss. It wasn't just the loss of Judy, it was the loss of everything they had built together, of the future Brat had once imagined with her. The love I had for Judy was still there, but the damage had been done, she said, the pain of knowing that no matter how much love remained, it couldn't repair what had been broken. Brat had tried to make it work, but deep down, she knew it was beyond fixing. Despite the pain, Brat had to accept the truth. No matter how much I wanted to fix it, I couldn't, she said, her voice filled with the finality of that realization. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about the erosion of trust, the lies, and the emotional toll that came with living in a relationship where dishonesty and betrayal had taken root. I knew in my heart that the relationship was over, and I was devastated, Brat admitted, her hands trembling as she spoke. The emotional roller coaster she had been on for so long finally came to an end. The heartbreak of knowing it was truly over was something Brat had never imagined she would face, but here she was, having to let go of someone she had loved deeply. It wasn't just the idea of losing her, it was the loss of everything we had. The dreams, the plans for the future, it all came crashing down, Brat said, her voice heavy with the weight of that final loss. The life they had planned together was now nothing more than a series of broken dreams and unfulfilled promises. The guilt she felt was intense. I couldn't help but feel guilty, she confessed, her voice quiet as she reflected on the emotions that came with this decision. I kept thinking, could I have done something differently? The natural tendency to blame oneself in moments of loss was something Brat struggled with. The questions of whether she could have done more, or if things could have been different, haunted her as she tried to make sense of what had happened. But I realized that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, things just don't work out, Brat said, the realization hitting her with clarity. It wasn't about her failing to make the relationship work. It was about the inherent flaws in the relationship that neither of them could overcome. And I had to let go, for my own sanity, Brat admitted, the weight of the decision now fully sinking in. The emotional confrontation with Judy was a turning point for Brat. When I finally sat down with Judy and told her how I felt, I was terrified, Brat admitted, the fear of facing the reality of their relationship weighing heavily on her. It was one of the hardest things she had ever done, sitting down with someone she had loved and had shared her life with, only to tell them that it was over. I didn't know how she was going to react, and I didn't know if she'd even understand, Brat said. This wasn't just about ending a relationship, it was about confronting the person she had thought she would spend her life with. The emotional burden of that moment was indescribable, and Brat wasn't sure how to handle the weight of it. But I had to do it. I had to say the words that I had been avoiding for so long, she continued. Saying goodbye was the hardest part, but she knew it was the only way forward. Brat described Judy's reaction to the confrontation, which ranged from defensiveness to confusion. She didn't want to believe it, she kept trying to justify everything, but I could see in her eyes that she knew. She knew it was over, Brat shared, her voice tinged with the sadness of knowing that the relationship was now officially at an end. It was a heartbreaking conversation, one Brat never imagined she would have to initiate, but she knew it had to be done. It was a heartbreaking conversation. I never thought I'd be the one to say those words, but I had to. I had to tell her that I couldn't keep going like this. That our marriage was over. The look on Judy's face, the pain in her eyes, confirmed Brat's decision, but it didn't make the moment any less painful. And when I saw the look on her face, the pain in her eyes, I knew I had made the right decision, but it still hurt like hell, Brat said, the emotional weight of that final moment lingering. Through it all, Brat's family and friends stood by her. My family has always had my back, and when they found out, they were heartbroken for me, she said, her voice soft with gratitude. The shock of the situation was overwhelming for everyone involved, but Brat knew she could rely on those closest to her for support. They knew something wasn't right, but they didn't know the extent of it, Brat continued, her heartache still fresh as she reflected on how her loved ones had struggled to process the painful reality. When I told them, they couldn't believe it either. Despite their shock, they rallied around her, offering love and understanding during a time when Brat needed it the most. But they've been my rock through all of this, she shared, a faint smile on her face as she acknowledged their unwavering support. My family has always had my back, and they were there when I needed them the most. The strength and love of her family and friends had been a source of comfort, helping Brat navigate the heartache of a painful chapter in her life. Even when I didn't think I could go on, they reminded me that I'm not alone, that I deserve better, Brat said softly. It was their support that made all the difference in her healing process, giving her the strength to face each new day. When Brat shared her story publicly, the response was overwhelming. "I never expected so much love and support from my fans," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. They've been sending messages of encouragement and understanding, sharing their own stories of heartbreak and resilience. "It's been so comforting to know I'm not alone in this."
Brat's smile grew warmer. "It's incredible how people can connect through shared pain. Their support has meant the world to me."
Looking ahead, Brat is focused on rebuilding her life. "This experience has been tough, but it's also taught me a lot about myself," she said, her voice filled with determination. "I'm choosing to focus on my own happiness, my own healing. It's not going to be easy, but I know I'm strong enough to handle it. I'm ready to embrace the future with open arms and an open heart." Brat smiled softly. "I know that the best is yet to come.
I'm not going to let this define me.
I'm taking control of my future, and I'm ready for whatever comes next." If Brat's emotional journey resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about Brat's strength and courage in facing the truth and moving forward? We'd love to hear from you.